Darami, I say, whenever I leave the house, and on whatever thing my eyes fall on,
وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما
Allah Ta'ala says, Wallahu yuhibbu as-sabirin. Allah Ta'ala asrif madalilina.
School governing body of South Coast Madrasa.
وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى.
I want to ask you this seriously. Anybody of you don't want to be here like today? You can raise your hands. I'm for democracy, so anybody doesn't want to be here today? No. Let me try this again, okay? If this applies to you, raise your hands. Anybody invited or bought a ticket or got a friend to say, please come along, that is here today, that is absolutely thrilled that you have made this choice to be here today when you could have actually been elsewhere. If that applies to you, can you do what I'm doing, which is raise my hand? I'm trying to see who's not raising their hands there. After it's like thinking about it. After talking, well. All right, so you made a commitment. Satari, your hands are like half-half, eh? I'm just checking you out there. Well, there you are. I mean, that's your commitment. So you're basically saying you've chosen to come here today. It's your choice. Nobody forced you to come. You've chosen. Can I just suggest something? I think you've chosen very, very well indeed. Thank you so much. So, on behalf then of the organizers here for the council, for the Congress of Business and Economics, which we look forward to a fantastic event this afternoon with great speakers and great interaction as well. Let me then welcome you, and the people at the back, and the people in front, and those on the sides, and just about everybody else that I can and cannot see as well. Welcome every one of you to what should be a super event. But I'm not going to do all the welcoming myself. I think let's, however, get Nizam Kala, who's the president of the Congress of CBE in this case here, to do an official welcome. Nizam?
Thank you very much, Ashraf. You know, you were talking about the credit card story. So there was a woman, they asked her in a bookstore, which is the best book you own? And she said, the husband's checkbook. So I'm just saying that, you know what, the point you raised is, it's not only the credit card we must give up, but also the checkbook.
The checkbook's history.
It's history, yeah. So with these few words, I want to just say good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for being here, and in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you here today, and a warm welcome to our Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister, for making time to be with us here today, and a very warm welcome to Portia. We serve on the Ser Motsayana Rural Development Foundation together, and I'm so glad that you're here today to share your thoughts and ideas with us. A warm welcome to Rensha Droganis. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you spending time with us. And obviously to all of you here, I know spending time here you've taken a lot of time to come out here and be with us, but we know that I was amazed when I seen the outcome today here, and you know what, it's so nice to be able to celebrate together what we can do together. And you know, we're celebrating this month, women are, and I'm it was so nice that you made me applause there, because I got a bit tired, but it was nice exercise. But really, it was fantastic, a great way of showing that, you know what, we really appreciate the contributions that was made by women. And women are the architects of society. You know, the hand that rocks the cradle rocks the world. And you know, women have really made a big difference in all areas of life, whether it be politics, whether it be business, whether it be science and technology, whether it be social welfare and all community affairs. So women have really made an amazing contribution to society. And you know, it is said that women light up the world when their power is unleashed. As you were talking about, that you know what, if we empower women, whether it be with the intelligence, with the intuition, the initiative, the creativity, capability, their love, their laughter, and their leadership, they make a major difference to society. And you know what? A woman who knows where she is going, knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way, will create a better world for all of us. And I really believe sincerely that we need to find a way to overcome our obstacles, because if you focus on our obstacles, then what happens? We lose the reason why. We lose focus on, and we lose our eye on the goal. So let us be really focused and to create a better world for all of us. So with these few words, I want to say we'd like to thank Almighty God for blessing us to share the special moments together here. Thank you for all coming here today and sacrificing your time and sharing these magical moments with us. A special thanks to our minister again, to all our guest speakers, to Ashraf for really emceeing and agreeing to Yasmin to be part of it. Really, our sponsors, Yasmin, Yusuf, our board, and all of the people who have made this function become successful today. So with these few words, please enjoy the day and have a great time. Thank you very much and God bless you all. Salam.
Wathinta abafazi, wathinta imbokodo. You strike a woman, you strike a rock. National Women's Day is a South African public holiday commemorating the 1954 march of 20,000 women to the Union Building in Pretoria to petition against the country's past laws. The first National Women's Day was celebrated on the 9th August 1994. But I, Buhle Peter, a grade 6 learner from Alpha Primary School in Lenasia, stand proud and declare that every day is Women's Day, and every woman should celebrate who she is and the vital role she plays in every aspect of her being. A woman is a backbone of her family, her community, and her nation. As a daughter, she is a blessing and a light in her father's home. As a wife, she is a pillar upon which her husband's strength lies on. And as a mother, she is a glue that holds her family together. Under her feet lies paradise. She is a homemaker, and her lap is her children's free school. Women, since from the beginning of time, have left their mark in the world. The wife of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, Khadija, was a successful businesswoman already in the year 595 AD. Indira Gandhi was India's third prime minister. Fatima Mir, Florence Nightingale, Mother Teresa, Winnie Mandela, Helen Joseph, and the list is endless. All these women have played a vital role in maintaining peaceful relationships, and spread love and joy wherever they were. What about our unsung heroes, my ancestors, our great-grandmothers, who could not read and write, yet raised generations of family with the moral anchor, cultural unity and values? These women sacrificed whatever little they had and used their talent, whether it was farming, weaving, braiding, or domestic chores, just to put food on the table and provide their families with endless opportunities that they themselves never had. To me, those women are the real heroes, the true mothers of our nation. As a girl on the brink of my teenage years, I am honored to be a child of a free and democratic South Africa. I am blessed to be surrounded by strong and inspirational women who mentor me daily and encourages me to reach for my dreams, like my teachers, my mother, Pamela Peter, whose unconditional love and remarkable of ways always inspires me. With the world at my feet, I am confident that I can make a positive impact in the lives of others, as I hope to become a social worker one day and serve humanity. With such phenomenal role models like yourself, there is nothing that I or any other girl in the world cannot achieve. Ladies, mothers, sisters, daughters, aunties, grandmothers, you are woman. You are light, you are inspiration, you are truth, you are sacrifice, you're the backbone of humanity, and I salute you. Tutokili said, you are light, keep shining.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Let me then call upon the first of the three presentations that we're going to have, and so we're going to get up. Don't just come up right now, but Rensha Dragani, some things about her. She's the founder of Africology, and many of you may be familiar with that already anyway, like the Africa connection to that, which is a natural and ethical skincare range that is designed to create harmony between skin, body and mind, and maybe very appropriate in terms of that, the remarkable journey of successful career women and how they manage their work-life balance, because I think that's, to a large degree, is what it is, right? So she has a profound understanding of the interaction between the body and the mind. She started a career as a life coach and holistic healer for leading companies, amongst them AIG. I'm not going to run through all of them, but she also then trained as a Reiki master and aromatherapist, incorporating homemade, bespoke skincare products, essential oils as well in her therapy, right? So then, key thing, a spa approached her to make a body wrap. She took on the challenge, and the wrap healed the cracked sore feet of a little boy, and as we know, that can change many things, because I think your own life then changed in terms of what you did. She's completely committed, I've been told, to empowering consumers and helping them make conscious choices while honoring the universe, nature, and intelligence. It's an interesting balance. You know, we do one thing at the expense of others. So let's see how that balance works out, right? Now, from her humble beginnings, mixing her blends in her kitchen, Rensha's team now produces well over 10 tons of certain product lines. So, I've been told, passion in her heart, clear, powerful vision for the future is what she's got. Africology now distributes to over 350 5-star spas. We'll probably ask you for recommendations for which ones we should go to. Africology continues now to be Africa's leading natural beauty and skincare brand. So let's get some applause here for Rensha. Looking forward to what you have to say. Looking forward to it.
I always feel so embarrassed when I tell people, I used to make products in my kitchen, or tell them my history. But as I started growing up as a woman, and I accepted me completely for all of who I am, my story became one of my most precious assets. So just to cut a little bit short, 97, I got divorced, 4 children, absolutely no money, no food to feed my children. And sometimes I used to send them to friends' homes to go and have lunch. You find creative ways to look after your family. But as we all know, when you're a mother and you have children, you have every reason to give your best, to do your best. There's not one moment that you can say, I can't do it. I tried to find a job, I couldn't find a job. No one wanted me. And the only thing I could do was to do something that I loved. And what I loved was healing. So I started doing massages from home. I didn't have money to do business cards. So I used to take my children's crayons and I used to make my own little cards and drew butterflies on it. And as I wrote those business cards, I really felt love in that moment, because I believed that if I can put my soul into this card, someone else out there is going to feel my energy and they will come back into my world. And so I started treating people, and Eventually had so many more people and business happened, no business plan. And then I wanted to do more because I was born with a gift that I could really work with the body and see the body. So I could touch and maybe see organs in the body, and had an incredible, beautiful knowing of what was wrong with people. So just massage alone wasn't enough. I then started making a little bit of cream in my kitchen and aromatherapy oils so that they could have a moisturizer with the essential oils. If they had to go through healing, rose oil, and I knew that if they had that rose oil on their body, it will bring peace and harmony as the days went. Before I knew it, I had a business. The most amazing opportunity to do more. I was blessed with 4 children who could all help me. There were days that we used to fill 4,000 bottles with cake fillers, you know those cake decorators? And we all sat with our cake decorators and our bottles in our kitchen, and we filled our bottles. There wasn't money to go and make professional labels, but we all cut them out. And we did up to 4,000 in 1 week. But the kids stood together, and we did it. Miracles happen, I know, when you are ready for a miracle. The minute you say, I cannot do it, or there's every reason why not, you will find the reason why you can't do it. My passion and love for healing started in '94 when I did a lot of work for a company called LTC, Leadership Through Creative Education. And what I did was a lot of counseling or coaching of ex-prisoners that were released from prison. And I had one day that I was given a man who was, he was going to commit murder with one of the directors of a company that just gave him a job. And I had 2 hours to reform this man. And can you imagine reforming someone who's a criminal in 2 hours? In a little place in City Deep on my own. I was terribly fearful. I didn't want to do it, but I knew that God, our Creator, will never give us anything unless we are ready for it. 2 hours became the most magnificent moment in my life where I've experienced forgiveness. And I don't know until today what that forgiveness was. Did I forgive him because he was a criminal? Did I forgive him because he was a murderer? Did I forgive myself for being a white woman and I really didn't know what was happening in another black man's life? Because his story was phenomenal and I could understand him. When I was driving home that afternoon, I sat in my car and I thought, this is the essence of Africa. This is Africa. What is the essence of Africa? There has been pain, there's abuse, there's rejection, there's abandonment. And if you look in humanity, every human being has those emotions in their hearts or their souls through some form of experience that they have. And so I realized in that moment, no matter where in the world you are, there's a little bit of Africa within you. And I really wanted to capture that essence and put a label around my product so that every time somebody uses what I make in my kitchen and my heart and my soul is in there, it will touch their soul and the healing will go deeper than just skin deep. Because isn't all beauty really what is in your heart? What is in your soul? What is in your mind? How often do we allow ourselves to go into a place where fear rules your life and your mind is not yours anymore, but it's every possibility that is pain. And if we can pull our spirits back and we can say, I have choice in this moment, I can do it, no matter what. But if I put my heart into it, I know that a miracle will present itself. The right people will enter your life, the right connections, and things will happen. Africology has been my passion, and I often say I am Africology because my business is an expression of who I am. I am proud to say that my business has not just produced a range of skincare products where I had to come from my truth. It's been hard to compete with big brands. Not easy, especially when you don't have all the money for marketing. but with faith and a strong sense of knowing that what I do is authentic, we have started pulling into our space the most beautiful clientele, consumers who really understand what we want to do, what our outcomes is going to be. We have done enterprise development. We have helped women who've never had a job, no education, to educate them. We have created jobs. We're still on a wonderful journey where I know that we are almost like a little ball, and within this ball there's all this faith, there's these dreams, there are visions, and there's a knowing that somehow on a small level, not just me but everyone that's part of my journey can change the world. And I know that if you have a business, if you have a career where your passion and your love for what you do is your primary ingredient, how can you fail? You cannot fail. Because where there's love, there's everything. And isn't it part of every human being's soul, a search for love? Isn't it an energetic expression where we find something that we can relate to? We will bring it into our life. There has been times in business where money became the most important aspect. And I had a spiritual teacher once that said to me, money will come and money will go, but morality will stay. It might take you a little bit longer, but don't lose your values, because money is just an energy. But the way you make it will be sustainable and it will be forever. Remember that. Today I'm proud to say that I think I'm the luckiest mother ever to have 4 grown-up children who's part of my business. And when people say this is a family business, these are my partners. We do everything equally. We have trust in each other. We have no doubt. I have 3 beautiful grandchildren that I've been blessed with. My oldest granddaughter, 7-year-old, little Adomia, she connects to what we do in the most beautiful of ways. She'll come to the company and she starts earning her pocket money by packing boxes. And her first creative job that she had to do was, Adonia, what is important in this business for you? If this was yours today, what would you show us that's going to be meaningful? And she went to go and draw a sign that said open and put it on the front door. And when I asked her, why did you do this? She said, because when we open, people will come to us. And it reminds me of our souls. If you allow yourself to be open to possibilities, do we not invite the world into our space? But if we have no faith in ourselves and our own ability, we kind of close off, isn't it? How can we bring anything into our world?
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Today I'm just going to share on 2 turning points, I think, in my life that saw me where I was today. And I hope you'll be able to get something out of it today. I will start as an 18-year-old self. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so after I completed my matric, I decided to go and study graphic design and multimedia, but mostly because I was shy and I thought that's the easiest way out. I'm going to sit behind a desk with my computer and I didn't have to deal with having to see people at all. So with the help of my grandfather, who took us through school, I did my 3 years in graphic design and multimedia. Come 3rd year, something just happened. I just completely lost it. Was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder stemming from being a perfectionist. But as a graphic designer, what I found is that at school, most of the time, if your work wasn't up to scratch, you faced so much disappointment, so that affected that. So my final semester, I actually didn't go to school at all. So come results, my grandparents wanting to find out, so how did you do? And then I had to now start explaining to them that actually this final semester, I stayed at my flat and didn't do any schoolwork. Thank God I'm still alive today because they didn't kill me. So through this journey, now the next best thing was to find work. I had to go work because I had used up my education fund, and I found a job as a student worker. You know, when you go to universities and you see students, they usually use students wearing bibs that say, ask me. I was one of those. I was an ask me at UNISA. But because I knew my situation, I worked so hard. I pushed. I knew I didn't have a qualification. I was only now starting to study at that point. Worked so hard that by the time I decided to leave corporate and a career in 2012, I was actually the registrar of Mill Park Business School. Without a qualification still, I was still pursuing that. And it speaks to knowing that there's something that you're supposed to be doing, and you pushing so hard to find that contentment, I think, and a sense of responsibility towards work. I just had this great sense of responsibility because my situation wasn't necessarily the same as everyone else. So fast forward to 2012, I decided to quit corporate and pursue my ultimate dream. I founded Iliju, a bee farm that's based in rural Winterveld. How that came about, my grandfather at the time was 87, suggested that we actually go for a course in bee farming, because what happened is that we were staying on a farm, and bees would usually cave in the ceiling. They would settle in our ceiling at home and produce so much honey that the ceiling would actually cave in. So he suggested, instead of us actually getting rid of the bees, he suggested, well, let's go for a course in bee farming. So he took all the grandchildren, off we went to class, attended this course in bee farming. I loved it so much, stayed on and actually completed my advanced course in bee farming. That's how I qualified as a bee farmer. Initially, I saw that as just simply a way of making money. I mean, I had decided to resign from my work, and here was an opportunity. South Africa, we had a shortage of honey, and across the world, bees were endangered. So I thought, oh, well, I'm going to make a whole lot of money. I'm going into bee farming. Lo and behold, nature had other plans, because my passion is really rural development, just improving communities. And that in itself, I found to be the answer to do that, because what we ended up doing is that we started assisting rural farmers with bee pollination within the Winterveld area. So basically to just try and assist them, make sure that they had improved crops and the quality of their yields was improved based on this model at no cost. We started doing that, but we benefited because we would place our hives on their farms so that they get bee pollination, and in return we did hive inspections in order to get the honey from that. I came across this saying that talks about purpose. You attract good opportunities when your heart is in the right place. And I love telling a story of a woman called Nora Tager, because what happened is that when we started our bee farm, this woman we met, she didn't know me at all. She said, I like you so much, I'll pay you a salary to keep you in your business. For a good year, this old lady was just putting money in our business, not seeing any returns, nothing was happening at the time. Yes, it was doing well, and all these other people are actually influencers in our business, because the heart was in the right place, and we were wanting to actually make a difference in other people's lives, that all these great opportunities came our way. Richard Branson loved the project, that they've supported it from the onstart. So this is where we actually are humble beginnings. That's me with the first 60 hives that we received from Nora Tega and some of the guys that we work with in the community. One lesson that I think I've picked up is that with all the hard work, at some point, one needs to take time out, relax, regroup, which is something for a while that I completely failed to do until we lost everything. So it was a good almost 2 years that we started the business. Everything was going well. Unfortunately, we lost it all, everything at the same time. Ashraf mentioned that we moved to the farm. I was working on this project while staying in Johannesburg. But because we took such a financial beating that we actually had to leave our house in Johannesburg with my husband and move to Winterveld. We got a plot, moved into this one room house for a good year while we were trying to pick ourselves up. New beginnings with that. I think it's important for everyone that as you face life's challenges, you able to see beyond, be able to reinvent yourself, and that's what we did. With the bit of money that was left, all our life savings, we bought a 10-hectare plot in Winterveld, and this is where we actually built the one-room house that we stayed in for a year. And it didn't exactly help the fact that I was pregnant at the time in this place that was in the middle of nowhere, but we moved anyway. And what we did with the farm is that we still had our main apiary side. It's a citrus farm. We had vegetables on the farm. And one project that I was involved in was Chiladido, which is in my profile, where we planted chili, made chili sauce. So these are some of the things that I have been involved in and what we did with the farm. Up until recently, we developed what we call the village market. We were trying to assist rural farmers, but what then we picked up is that, yes, we were helping them with bee pollination, but they now said, yes, you're helping us with this, but we have a challenge because we don't have access to markets, and how can you help us with that? And we developed what we call the village market, whereby we bring all these village projects, produce, everyone together and actually create a space that it's ideal for anyone to come in, spend a day in a rural community and enjoy what's there to offer within these communities. Some of the things that we offer: good living, we create gardens in a box, food in a box, preserves from the old ladies that actually stay within these rural communities, because I found there's so much wisdom within these communities. So what we tend to do, we create social experiences for people to actually go within the community, learn how to make these preserves from the old ladies, go home and you know how to do it. So you learn at the same time. Crafts, it's one of the things that we do. Some of the ladies from villages that have actually we've been working with, a designer, and one is an interior designer. And our latest project that we're currently working on, it's basically assisting remote villages. What tends to happen in the KZN area is that you find that elephants go into where you find the farmers plant and actually mess up the crops. So what we do is that we now in a project whereby we're creating bee fences along borders just to separate, because elephants don't like bees. I think my lessons, that's our business in a nutshell. But one of the things that I've learned is that it's not about money. My pursuit for happiness has never been about money, but making a difference in people's lives and actually running businesses with a heart. Because I found if you run your business with a heart, you attract goodwill, and people that you actually work with, the people that you're trying to help, what ends up happening is that they go out there with a positive outlook They go out there wanting to do good themselves. In return, we're creating just this beautiful, beautiful space of opportunities. Affirmations, the only one that when I looked at this and wanted to focus on, is that I've learned that all things, they pass away. You might be facing challenges today, but at the end of the day, these things, they all pass away. So it's really about enjoying the moment that you are in. And when you're facing your challenges, you just know that it's really, you're not there to stay. Make it a point that you're moving forward. And in closing, whatever that you really, really, really want to do it with all your heart. I treasure my family more than anything. I run these projects, but at the end of the day, I know that it's about making a difference and making sure that my family is well taken care of. That brings me peace, that brings me happiness, and that's the story of our life. Thank you.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Well, good afternoon to everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Namaste. I thought before Ashraf began introducing me that I was young. It looks like I'm going to need some Africology. It's just a wonderful thing, you know. Home Affairs is responsible for, amongst other things, declaring public holidays. And when we first became a democracy, we put a lot of thought into what those days would be. And much of it was aimed at us coalescing as a nation. And Women's Day in particular, I think, is one of those days and times of the year where more than at other public holidays, we coalesce. You know, in America, when they celebrate their public holidays, they usually have things that they do, like the turkey for Thanksgiving and so on. And that kind of brings everybody together. Everybody's, okay, slaughtering turkeys, but that's what they do. That's the thing that really, in a material way, says we are a single nation celebrating an event. And in South Africa, with regard to Women's Day, there's a particular song that is sung. And just having heard the speakers here today, you know, I always get very emotional when women speak because we know each other's stories from somewhere deep down inside. And these speakers today have just been absolutely moving, inspirational. And I think that we need to salute them in the proper way that is now becoming tradition on Women's Day, and that is by singing. So I'm going to invite Khomotso up, who's got a more powerful voice than me, but the two of us are going to start, and you're all going to stand and you're going to join us in what has become the South African Women's Day anthem. Ikamala makosi kazi mali bongwe, ikamala makosi kazi mali bongwe, mali bongwe, mali bongwe, mali bongwe, mali bongwe, ikamala makosi kazi mali bongwe, ikamala makosi kazi mali bongwe, mali bongwe, mali bongwe, mali bongwe, mali bongwe. So, in honor of all these powerful women, I thought that I would talk about how we as women can reclaim our power. I think in our society, and particularly this month, we focus, quite rightly so, on women in a patriarch society. We focus on women as victims of violence and abuse. We focus on horrible things like rape. And I thought we should do something different. We should talk about women who are not victims. And I think our speakers have amply taught us through their life's lessons how we are just not victims, and we can reclaim our power. So I thought to look at the things that disempower us, and ultimately I came to the conclusion that we disempower us. We do it willingly. We do it to ourselves, because nobody really has the power to disenfranchise you from the powers that you were given by the universe or by God. That is, who created you after all. And so I thought to do this in a way that set out certain themes. And I had about 2,000 principles, and then I've tried to narrow them down to about 7. And a lot of them have already been spoken about. Portia's first slide says, identity. Who are you? You're many things, but who are you? And I find that sometimes the most difficult question people have to answer, women and men. But speaking from the context of home affairs, we register births, we give you your first name, you give you your ID number, and we are about identity and creating identity. We are also about creating a national identity. Where in all of our identities are we South Africans? And what does that mean? And what a wonderful opportunity we have where we are in this day and age, 2015, to create that ideal South African. That notion of a citizen that is not just interested in themselves, but is a citizen of the world with world views, with world values. And these are some of the thoughts that come to mind when we talk about creating identity. Women have a very, very powerful position when it comes to creating identity, because we are the ones who have children, and we give them an identity, we give them values which inform them about who they are. And we see some terrible things at home affairs. These days, one of the most tragic things that we see relates to how young children are not given the names of their parents, talking about unabridged birth certificates now. We see very often single mothers coming in and registering children with only one parent. And that doesn't seem like the end of the world, but to that child it almost is. Being bequeathed a name and an identity is probably the most important gift you would ever give to your child. And to raise a child with just one parent is to give them half an identity. And so we're creating a nation of people who have an identity crisis. And this is a very, very sad phenomenon, and it's something that we, particularly as mothers, are not disempowered about. We can change it, because we very often make up those societal norms that we hold others to. The other thing that I wanted to speak about is, I'm not quite sure, in assuming identities, because there's also a place for assuming identities in our society. A lot of women stand in the queues in home affairs when they marry, and they change their surnames to their husband's names, and I've never understood that. I've always been my father's daughter, and I am very proud to carry his surname. And maybe perhaps in some era before, a wife became part of the husband's family, and so therefore has to assume that name. And oftentimes it was because there was an extra mouth to feed in that family because she was seen as a burden. And I want to know whether you know of any such person today. Today, women who are married usually work, and they probably support their husbands and sometimes even their husbands' extended families. I don't know whether we think enough about these issues in terms of what that does to you as a person. We do it because society expects it of us, or our families expect it of us, etc. But do we really understand how that affects us personally? I have no problem with Mrs. Clinton or Mrs. Thatcher or whatever, but they married in a different era, where it was, I imagine, socially acceptable for them to change their surnames, and if they didn't, they'd kind of be frowned upon. But today we have those choices. And I think the most important thing is to make that choice for yourself and not let the husband or the family or whatever make that decision for you. I asked my 15-year-old daughter whether she would change her surname when she got married one day, and she said to me very simply, "Oh, well, if it sounds better than my surname, I might." And I thought to myself, oh, that's fine, because the decision would have been hers and nobody else's. And so this comes to my first principle of reclaiming your powers. Claim your identity in every respect. You are a unique individual, and you are the person who bears that identity, nobody else. Claiming one's identity leads to another question about purpose. And again, Portia's slide around what is your purpose in life? And I've learned that there are two types of people essentially in the world. Ones that wake up every morning, accept that they'll never be able to change the world and don't bother trying. And then there's the other type of person who wakes up in the morning, knows that they won't be able to change the world, but never stops trying. And I realized, one of my biggest fears growing up, I realized that every day that I was alive, I was running short of my life. It was becoming empty. It was like that can of Coke, which we always used to get as a reward as children. And I used to try and preserve it for as long as possible. And I would keep half of it in the fridge so that I could have it next day and so on. But that was a very, very scary thought for me. Be that woman who, when her legs hit the floor in the morning, the devil says, "Oh crap, she's up." Thank you very much.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. 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 صلوا عليه